Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the recap of EPW Origin. It was the first show for 2012 for Explosive Pro Wrestling. My name is Dean Olsen, and joining me is none other than the Iron Man, David Storm. Thank you for joining me.
Pleasure to be here, Dean.
Now, it was the first show for the year and a massive start to 2012 for EPW. What were your thoughts on the show as a whole?
I thought it was a show that laid a foundation for 2012. We've seen some guys really coming to the fore, even early in the year. This is obviously the first show for the year, and it's good to see some new faces in the main event.
No doubt about that now. The action kicked off with a tag team match, one that was lingering from the end of 2011. That was the Entourage versus Team All-Star. It was the team of the Don Michael Morleone and Mr. AK-47 Alex Kingston up against Kyle Stereo and Leo Pratt. Now, from the get-go, there was a little bit of dissension.
I think at Reawakening we saw the opening of the cracks that are currently the dissension in the Entourage. Obviously some problems going on there. It started with Rocky Monero's defection at Reawakening, and now it seems like Hollywood Kyle Stereo really isn't happy with the rest of his team, and Darcy's going to really struggle to hang on to Kyle and keep this Darcy agency afloat.
It's a good point you make up. I mean, William Darcy is the figurehead of the Entourage. I mean, Kyle Stereo is the #1 man, and he was all business tonight, but Leo Pratt just wanted to goof around with, Hayden Zenith was on the outside with his little video camera, constant distractions to Kyle Stereo. He was very frustrated, and it showed.
I think Kyle Stereo has been a guy that constantly hasn't been able to push through to the top level. It looks now like he's primed to become one of the top players in Explosive Pro Wrestling, and the hijinks around him, Leo Pratt, Hayden Zenith, it does seem like it's actually preventing Kyle from taking it to the next level.
So it was obvious to everyone here in attendance that all is not well within the Entourage.
Hello, is this thing on? Yes, everything is fine in the Entourage. All of you watching at home, everything is fine. Yes, sure, we had a rough night, but just like a marriage, you got to work through the bumps, okay? But I can promise you, at Gold Rush, everything will be even better than it was when Kyle Stereo wins the EPW Championship. It's
Thanks, William Darcy. Okay, as I was saying, all is not well within the Entourage. Team All-Star, on the other hand, like a well-oiled machine. The Don and Kingston, just amazing form tonight.
For mine, Team All-Star were the superstars of this show. From the opening match with Alex Kingston and the Don Michael Morleone, all the way to the main event with Sebastian Sander, which I'm sure we'll get to later.
The second match of the evening was a one-on-one matchup, originally supposed to be between JT and Dan Moore. Of course, Dan Moore having some personal issues, could not be here tonight. JT came in, wanted his hand raised in victory due to forfeit, but being in EPW, that was never going to be the case.
Gavin McGavin stepped up, took the challenge on 10 or 15 minutes notice, and looked fantastic. Gavin McGavin obviously been working hard over the summer, and it looks like he really could have a big year here in Explosive Pro Wrestling.
Well, they say a good soldier is always prepared, and Gavin McGavin was just that. He had the upper hand on JT a number of occasions. I thought he was going to get the win. Of course, AZ Vergara on the outside always made his presence felt as well.
This is professional wrestling, and whatever the referee doesn't see is legal. AZ and JT are the tag team champions for a reason. A well-oiled machine, and I think they showed that there tonight, and JT picking up a great win over Gavin McGavin.
Following that was a six-man tag team matchup, absolutely brutal, between the Blackest Hour and the team of Adam Banks, Johnny Wimbledon, and Chris Weiss.
Chris Weiss was an absolute powerhouse tonight. He really was the story from this six-man tag match. Another guy who obviously has been putting in the hard yards while everybody rested over the Christmas period. Chris Weiss looked fantastic. Obviously won the Invitational Tournament last year. He's got an EPW title shot up his sleeve. I just see huge things for Chris Weiss this year. Fantastic performance tonight against three really tough guys in the Blackest Hour.
No doubt about that. I cannot say enough about how impressive Chris Weiss has been. That's not to take anything away from Adam Banks and Johnny Wimbledon. Both of the guys, hell of a matchup tonight, but Blackest Hour were vicious as always. I mean, Richter was just waiting for his chance to go in and attack, and when he did, it was ferocious. I mean, Dorian as well, this big guy, this massive man we know so little about. Whenever he goes in the ring, it's so brutal, and Adrian Priest is just a sick individual. That guy just scares the crap out of me. But it was a hell of a matchup, and exciting as it could get.
Richter and Chris Weiss, definitely the difference makers for their teams. And in the end, Chris Weiss scoring the win for his team here tonight.
And then after the matchup, the Blackest Hour were not done.
Rick Sanders has this team really focused, but not focused on winning, and that becomes very dangerous for everyone else in Explosive Pro Wrestling. The Blackest Hour completely focused on hurting, injuring, and maiming this year. and who knows what to expect from them at the next show.
Following that, we had a great one-on-one matchup between one half of the EPW Tag Team Champions, AZ Vergara, and the Kamikaze Kid, Chase Griffin.
AZ, again, being accompanied by JT. Chase Griffin was always going to be fighting an uphill battle in this match. 2-on-1, nobody likes those odds going into a match. Chase Griffin looked fantastic and pulled out a surprise victory.
All the offense he disposed tonight, all that aside, Chase Griffin, I think, is in the best shape I've ever seen him in his wrestling career. He's seriously putting some hard yards over the festive season, so to speak, and he was firing at all cylinders tonight and really took it to AZ Vergara, even though Jay Taylor was always in the sidelines.
Unfortunately for Chase Griffin, it doesn't matter what kind of shape he whipped himself into, because after his victory here tonight, the Blackest Hour stormed the ring, and I've just heard that Chase Griffin has been taken to a local hospital with a serious neck injury, so we send our thoughts to Chase. I hope he's back sooner rather than later. As I said, the Blackest Hour completely focused on injuring and maiming, and Chase Griffin was just the first victim, I'm sure.
After the halftime break, we had a great tag team matchup. It was Top Team Australia, Jimmy Payne and Jamie Jura up against the Brothers Schmidt, Bruiser Barry and Gorgeous Gary. Before the bell was rung, Gorgeous Gary got on the microphone and announced that due to his injury, he was not cleared to compete by doctors.
Anybody who knows Gorgeous Gary Schmidt, or the Schmidt brothers in general, you would know that it'd have to take a serious injury for either of them to pull out of a match. Very passionate about their professional wrestling and about competing here at EPW. For him to not be medically cleared, you know it's going to be a serious injury for him not to go ahead. Yeah, Jamie obviously knows how to goad people into action, and generally it's actions that aren't in their best interests, and that was proven again tonight. He was able to goad Gorgeous Gary Schmidt into action in this tag team match, and his injury really was the telling factor in the match, Jamie tapping him out to an armbar.
Very true. I mean, not only was he going into the matchup injured, but I mean, he was also risking further injury to his arm. It was straight ahead from the get-go. It was all Top Team Australia. I mean, Bruiser Barry stayed in as long as he could, but as soon as Gorgeous Gary got in the matchup, like sharks smelling blood in the water, Top Team Australia just went to town on Gorgeous Gary.
We're talking about Jamie Jura and Jimmy Payne, two EPW champions. They've done it all in explosive pro wrestling, and there isn't a trick that they don't know, and there isn't a situation that they won't take advantage of. And it was just unfortunate that Gary came in here with that injury tonight, because I think it would have been a very competitive matchup otherwise.
Well, the tag team division in EPW is absolutely off the charts. We then had a one-on-one matchup between the returning Ferguson Block and the 2011 Rising Star Cup winner, the underdog of all underdogs, Scotty Ryan.
I thought Scotty Ryan looked great. He looked like he was really going to take the battle to Ferguson Block here tonight, but experience paid off. Ferguson Block rights the ship and wins with a new maneuver for him, the crossface chicken wing.
Executed to perfection. I think in the early goings, Ferguson Block didn't take Scotty Ryan too seriously, but he soon shook that off and completely went to town on the youngster. I mean, he is the Rising Star Cup winner. I'm sure his future is bright, but Ferguson Block the better man at Origin. And then it was time for the main event, and what a main event it was. It was Marcus Pitt versus Sebastian Sander, but we all got a little bit more than we bargained for, Storm.
Absolutely. Brett Corvus coming out tonight, nullifying the victory of Tyler Jacobs and trying to award the title back to the former champion, the Golden Greek Marcus Pitt.
I must say, Mr. Brad West, thank you for joining us here. Your number one draft pick was in a hell of a form.
Oh, without a doubt. Everything he's trained for over the past 4 or 5 years that we've been running Team All-Star for, we've been focused on getting him that championship, and we really thought we had it tonight.
Well, I thought so as well, but credit where credit's due. Marcus Pitt was in amazing form, Davis. I mean, you've got to hand it to the guy. He really is delivering the best work he ever has before.
Marcus Pitt just seems to go from strength to strength. I stepped in the ring with him 4 times last year, and it seemed like every time I got in the ring with him, he got stronger, he got faster, and possibly the most important factor, he was more focused every single time he stepped in the ring. This title really has become an obsession to Marcus Pitt.
Well, he threw everything he had at Sebastian Sander. I mean, how did you deal with Sebastian Sander leading into this show? I mean, obviously you didn't know the title was going to be involved, but I mean, how was the build-up to Origin for Team All-Star?
Whether it was title match or no title match, we look at every situation where Sebastian Sander goes out there as a way of getting him closer to this belt. And when we thought the belt was on the line, it didn't make any difference. He trained, he was ready to take on Marcus Pitt, and we thought it was just the bonus, you know.
Well, talking about getting close to this title, you couldn't really get any closer than what he did. He got the victory in the end. I mean, it was an amazing battle, and Sebastian Sander got the win. He got his hand raised, got handed the belt, and we were led to believe he was the new EPW champion.
Look, I'll ask Brad in a moment for his thoughts about what things are like backstage right now, but You know, somebody who's held the EPW title to have got his hands on the title and believe that he'd won that title only to have it taken away from him just seconds later, it's got to be heartbreaking.
Oh, it is without a doubt. Like, I feel sick to the pit of my stomach type thing. We're just crushed. At the end of the day, if it wasn't a title match, it wasn't a title match, and we can't do that. Can't do anything about it. But I don't know what to say, honestly.
Well, Brett Corvus came out and announced to the entire crowd and the people in the back that it was never a EPW Championship matchup. So no title on the line, no title changing hands. I mean, he awarded Marcus Pitt with the title. Then things kind of changed, didn't they?
Well, a big announcement. Nate Dooley returning to Explosive Pro Wrestling as part of the new board here in EPW in 2012. He gave Brett Corvus the boot. He stripped Marcus Pitt of the EPW title. And for all the heartbreak that Sebastian Sander must be going through right now, he only needs to wait a few weeks. April 14th, Gold Rush. The title's going to go on the line. A 30-man rumble for the EPW Championship. Sebastian Sander, one of the first men announced to take part in that. How's he feeling, Brad?
Well, obviously, we just have to put things back into perspective. Tonight, we didn't think we were going in for a title match, so he won the match, which was what he had planned to do in the first place, which just puts him in a better position going into this rumble. And I think now he's focused and looking ahead to next month. And that's all we really can do. We can't really look at it any other way. We've just got to stay focused. He's got to get back to the gym and just train as hard as he did for this match so he'll get his arm raised at the next event.
And one of the new board of directors, Nate Dooley, not only did he announce that Sebastian Sanders is the first person entered into that rumble, he also said that there's going to be people from all around Australia. But the other thing he said is that one of the men has been announced, entered into that rumble, and that is the Golden Greek Marcus Pitt.
Well deserved too. Although Marcus Pitt didn't deserve to just have the EPW title just thrown back on his waist after his loss at Reawakening, this guy has been the single most dominant force in Explosive Pro Wrestling in the last 12 months. There's absolutely no question about that. And 30-man rumble, Gold Rush, I cannot wait. And it will put this title, which has been so important in the Australian wrestling scene, right back at the top of the heap.
Well, this was the first show for 2012, just the beginning for Explosive Pro Wrestling. April 14th, Cyril Jackson Rec Center. It's going to be EPW's Gold Rush, and it's going to be all about the gold.
No one will ever be the EPW champion but me. Do you understand?
Hey!